But one thing about Eric Taylor was that he was a fighter. We get a chance to impact over 500 kids directly over a year. Wrestling does something to you that many sports don't do. What God continues to tell me through the young people is that we have a world of youth who continually need us.
So for those who are 11-year-old, there is a chance to become champions.
Even though physically his body was damaged, he was probably the strongest person that I knew.
Jonathan, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to this interview. I'm so excited.
I'm excited as well. Thank you for having me.
First question. First of all, I would like to know, and I think not only me, but people who's going to watch this video, how did you become four-time wrestling champion of Florida State?
Wow. I would have to say my faith, number one, honestly. I grew up in a church, and I was always taught to keep God first, right? And family, and then my team. And also just having people around me in my village, right? We talk about it takes a village. Having people in my village who really cared and nurtured me and also believed in me before I also believed in myself. So I think becoming a four-time state champion started with a dream of seeing someone else achieve something great and then telling myself I wanted to do that same thing. But keeping my faith first and always acknowledging that my strength and my hope stemmed from God that lived within me, and just continue to believe. And of course, hard work. We know the common words: hard work, perseverance, dedication.
What was your hard work?
My hard work was...
You were training every day, or how did it go?
Yeah, training every day. You know, during my high school career, we trained every day, 5 days a week, 6 days a week on some weeks. Of course, if we're not doing any type of competition, but we were in the wrestling room 6 days a week training. So just constant training, whether it be in the wrestling room or out on the road running or in the weight room lifting weights. It was a combination of a lot of different things that allowed me to, reach those type of success.
Wow, yeah. That's impressive.
I appreciate it.
5 days a week. And you started what age?
I started wrestling when I was 11.
11.
Yes.
So for those who are 11-year-old, there is a chance to become champions. Sometimes people say about some sports that you have to start when you're like 2-year-old or 5-year-old, right? So you give us hope.
Yeah, I believe to that point, it's not how long you're doing something, it's the amount of work you're putting into something while you're doing it, right? So if you start at 5, doesn't mean you automatically equal success at 20 or 15, right? But if you start at 11 and you put good amount of work into a small amount of time, your success can be just as good or better than someone that might have started earlier. It's not how long you do something, I feel like. It's what you do while you're doing it and the kind of work ethic you put into that window of opportunity.
And now you have this Youth Impact Center where you train kids, and this is the most amazing part. You train them for free.
Yes.
Why do you do that? Why do you wake up, as you said before the interview, that sometimes you have groups at 6 a.m., sometimes you have, and my kids go there too, the groups that start at 6:30 p.m. in the evening, and they stay here almost till 8 p.m. So why are you giving this time that you could spend anywhere, Florida, ocean, family, entertainment, but you spend it here teaching kids for free?
Yeah, I think it comes back to me starting at 11. I was also a part of a program that was no cost. And I saw that because of that program, I had the opportunity to change the trajectory of my life, right? Because someone offered me a space and a place that was high quality. It was free, right? We always sometimes connect free to something that doesn't have quality. but I was a part of a program that was very successful as a youth, and it was no cost. So when I had the opportunity and the calling from God to say, hey, here's a chance for you to give back, and if you can pour into these young people, I will create a space for you to do that. And that's why I wake up at 6 a.m. That's why I stay till 8 p.m. at night. And that's why I spend most of my days trying to figure out what is the best way for us to create an environment that is high quality, that is beyond what these young people are going to experience anywhere they go. Whether they're going to go to a paid subscription gym, right? We want to be able to give them the same type of quality or better, right? So that they continue to come here, so that we continue to show them what it looks like to train at a high level, and also be in a place where Christ is at the center of what we do. We're not just a program that's offering free training. We're offering high quality programming in an environment that is Christ-centered, where kids feel loved, they feel welcome, and they feel like they have a place where they can grow. That's why I do it, right? Whether it's free or paid, we do it because we want to just give kids a place where they feel loved and cared, and give them a chance to change the trajectory of their lives. Because wrestling does something to you that many sports don't do, because it's just you. And the work ethic that it takes to be successful in this sport is very difficult. So we're excited to be able to do that.
What does your family think about it?
I have a son, he's 16, and he's been a part of this program, right? He was an original member of the program. We started with simply 4 kids in this program, 4 athletes.
How many years ago?
Now we get a chance to impact over 500 kids directly over a year's time. You know, indirectly, we impact close to 750 to 1,000 kids per year in different programs and opportunities that we offer, from camps to clinics to tournaments and different things like that. And then my wife, right? My wife is a part of the organization. We run this organization together. So it creates a cool family dynamic where we're all vested in this as a unit, right? So it's not just me and not just my wife or not just my son, but all 3 of us together that understand what it takes and the dedication and the time commitment. But we love what we do. I love it for my son because he's learning at an early age, right? You can receive, but it's also great to give as well. And he also helps with the little kids from time to time, giving back, and also in the tutoring center. So my family, although at times it's difficult, we are fulfilled at the same time when we see young people's eyes open up, or they get their first win, or they turn their C into an A. Those are the moments that really continue to fuel us as we move through this organization.
Let's get to our topic.
Yes.
The program is called God Speaks.
Yes.
Because I think there are nothing more interesting in this world than listening to people talking about how God spoke to them, spoke through dreams, visions, other people, Bible, anything else. God has a lot of ways to speak, right? So
yes.
What was that in your life?
So for me, God speaks, honestly, every day to me. I'm going to start with this place called the YIC, right? Every day I come in here and I interact with young people, and I get a chance to kind of meet them where they are. I don't try to be anything other than what they need me to be at that moment. And a lot of young people are very open in their journey of their day, right? Whatever took place at school, at home, with their friends. And every day young people come to me and they share different things. And in those stories that they share, God speaks to me in different ways. And it allows me to continually be vulnerable for the young people. It allows me to continually be present, because what God continues to tell me through the young people is that we have a world of youth who continually need us, right? They continually need us to be present. They may seem like they have it all. They may seem like they have all the information at their fingertips because of social media and all the different technologies that we have with the rise of AI. But God continues to tell me that the young people need us to be vulnerable, to be open, to have a physical and emotional connection outside of the things that we think they already know. Sometimes I think as adults, we end up thinking that, oh, they can go and look it up. Go look it up. But really, in reality, they really need us to talk to them, to be present with them. That's one way God speaks to me. He speaks to me through the young people. Another occasion where me and you shared a moment a couple weeks ago when I told you about my brother who passed away. He was 23 years old, passed away of a heart attack at our childhood home. And then there was a moment in time where I felt like God wasn't speaking to me. But in his death, in his passing, as the years went on, God speaks to me through his tragedy. He speaks to me in a way that allows me to know that the life that my brother lived, although it was short in the span of time that we measure time as humans, his impact was great. And that just goes back to the conversation that we had earlier, that it's not the amount of time that you spend doing something, right? It's what you give in the amount of time that you're doing it. And it allows me to know that whatever my days are numbered on this earth, I will continue to give my 100% in everything that I do, because it doesn't matter how long I do it, right? I can do it for 100 years and not be great at it. But if I do it for 5 and I give it all I have, right, I can make an impact. So those are the type of ways that God speaks to me, that I see him. And then just everyday relationships and interactions with people on an everyday basis, right? I think if we can be present, God continues to speak to us in ways that we sometimes don't even realize that he's speaking to us, right? So I just enjoy, and then of course through the word, right? My favorite scripture is Psalms 121, and it talks about, for I look through the hills from what cometh my help cometh from the Lord. So when I read that scripture, I feel invincible, right? Because that's God telling me that no matter what you do, no matter what you go through, no matter what you may experience, I'm there. I neither sleep nor I slumber. I don't fall asleep. I don't take a break. I'm always with you. So those are the things that, as I grew up as a child in the church, and I went through different circumstances as a teenager, as a young person, as a 20-year-old man, as a 30-year-old man, in those moments where I felt defeated, that scripture alone is what gave me life, because I was able to read it and remember that God is with me no matter where I go, no matter what I experience, no matter what I may have to encounter on a daily basis. And some of those things that I encounter are not outside of me. Those are the things that happen within my own thought processes, the things that we bring onto ourselves. Yeah. And we have to use the word to battle the inner things that we're dealing with, right? Because the word also talks about it's not against flesh and blood, right? Yeah, it's against principalities. It's against the things that are within our brain, within our own thoughts. So that scripture alone speaks to me every day. It's a scripture that has been my favorite scripture since I was 12 years old. And I really, really resonate with that. So that's some of the ways that God speaks to me, and I just continue to listen.
How old was your brother when he passed away?
My brother was 23 years old when he passed away.
What is so inspiring for you about his life?
Oh, man. My brother was hit by a car when he was 2. And just imagine a green Jaguar. I remember it like it was yesterday. He was walking across the street following myself and my other brother.
How old were you?
I was 5, 6 years old. And we were just being kids, walking across the street, and car struck him and he was hit at 2. And you would have thought at that moment life would have been over for him. He was in the hospital for days and weeks, and he finally got out. He lived. Most of his left side of his body was not paralyzed, but immobile. Most people would, call him a cripple, I guess if you want to use that term. But even though physically his body was damaged, he was probably the strongest person that I knew. Because for the next 21 years, he went through surgeries, he went through rehab, he went through physical therapy. And I don't think any of those things really gave him hope, or the hope that the doctors talked about. But one thing about Eric Taylor was that he was a fighter. He never gave up. He kept fighting. He could have just been another person living off the government. Could have been another person just feeling hopeless. But because of his fight, because of what he was made from, who God made him to be in those 23 years that he lived, he created an impact for my life and many others, where he left this earth at the top of his career in workforce development, right? He was helping other people that had disabilities find jobs that matched their skill set. He had his own car. I'm the oldest of 5. He had his own paid car before any of us, right? He had his license before any of us. And the day he passed, he had a down payment on an apartment in his car, So the impact that he had for me is that if you have your mind made up, if you have a destination you're trying to get to, it doesn't matter if you've been struck by a car. It doesn't matter if you've been ran over. It doesn't matter if you've been hit your hardest. It doesn't matter if your legs have been taken from out underneath you, if your arms, it doesn't matter. Because if you have the faith, if you believe, if you keep God at your center, if you allow God to speak to you, you can get to wherever you're trying to go. And that's the type of energy and power that I live with every day, that I work to empower into the young people. Because if everybody can be an Eric Taylor, life would be so abundant. Because you just continue to push. No matter what, you were struck by a car when you were 2, but you didn't let that be your downfall. You didn't let that be your crutch. He was in a wheelchair at one point in his life, but he still had his own car. So if there's anything that his life taught me, 2 things. 1, never give up. And that's a cliche saying, right? Never give up. But you were hit by a car when you're 2, but you leave this earth at 23 with accolades of being one of the top employees at your job, helping other people who have disabilities find positions. So never give up. And 2, don't allow your physical state contribute to the outcome that you have for yourself. Those are some things in a nutshell that continue to push me every day. Many people say, what would Jesus do? And what would Eric do is just below that for me. What would he do? He would just keep going. He wouldn't allow the trauma to stop him.
Thank you so much for sharing your heart with us. And
thank you.
Thanks to Eric Taylor for living today.